Right, you marvellous person, you. Thanks for joining me once again, where today I'm dealing with a video that several of you marvellous people have suggested to me that I might like to look at. So, I guess I will. This is, caveat, this is sight unseen. First time through, I have not seen this video. This will be reactions off the cuff. All right, off you go. Whoever it is, I forgot your name, doesn't matter.
Here are 5 amazing benefits of a carnivore diet, all meat diet. You burn a lot of fat because you keep glucose and insulin low, and that is the key to weight loss. Brain fog goes away. You got mental clarity. Why? Because your body produces ketones on a carnivore diet.
Since going carnivore, I have watched every single one of my Lyme disease symptoms that I've been experiencing the last 15 years completely go away.
Everybody got either better or significantly better with regards to knee pain, sleep quality, digestive health, skin health, libido, all these things just improve.
If you suffer from severe daily anxiety, then you need to know that thousands of people around the world are using the beef, butter, bacon, and eggs challenge, the carnivore diet, to greatly improve their anxiety. In many cases, getting off all their anti-anxiety medications. You can do this too. Carnivore diet fixes everything. Gout, gone. Allergies, gone. Fungal toenail infection, clear. Ketogenic carnivore will help clear up your toenail fungus. They will help clear up your dandruff.
Breakfast is a fresh stick of butter. So good.
There you go. Her name is Brianna Jewel. That's who we're dealing with today, because she has some opinions about things. Let's hear some opinions, Brianna.
Hello there, my lemon babies, and welcome back to the Lemonade Stand, or welcome if you are new. My name is Brianna. I'm a certified personal trainer, a big, huge biology nerd, and a registered dietitian 2B.
So you're a student. Okay, nothing wrong with that. I was a student once too. I still consider myself a student, many decades later, actually. Anyway, right, let's hear your opinions.
Currently a dietetic intern in my last rotation. And today we are finally talking about the carnivore diet.
Yes, go on then.
The fad diet, because yes, it is a fad diet.
No, in fact, people have been eating the flesh and fat of large ruminant animals almost exclusively for something like 4.5 million years, Brianna. That's not a fad, okay?
Diet, in my opinion. That will...
there you go, see? Comma, in my opinion. That's a disclaimer you could put on the end of any sentence you like. And it renders the statement true by virtue of its conditional framework within which it places that statement, i.e. that there is no science to underpin your opinion. What the issue with these dietitians in general is that they are trained by their association to speak with a level of authority and confidence in the drivel that comes out of their mouths, which obviously, in my opinion, is a sad indictment on that association, precisely because the information, the misinformation that they are teaching these kids is absolutely excremental. It's drivel. It's the furthest thing from science that there is possible to be. It's unscience. Right, Brianna, make some progress.
Single-handedly cause more cardiovascular disease.
False. You just said cause. That's a cause and effect statement, clearly, and there's no evidence to underpin that. Wrong again.
Related deaths than the can of Crisco collecting dust in the back of your mother's pantry.
Well, anything in the back of the pantry is not going to have an effect on a person's health, is it, Brianna? You have to eat it first.
We proceed. If you love science-based health, wellness...
Science-based, you say? Doesn't look like it so far.
And fitness education with some lulls and lots of dry sarcasm. Why not hit that subscribe button and join the Lemonade Stand, because I would just truly love to have you here. All right, without further ado.
Tell you what, I'd love to subscribe if you stop telling people nonsense, Brianna. If you stop lying to the public. I know you don't think you are lying because you've been basically brainwashed by your association to think in a certain way. Your entire construct is fallacious from the ground up. I'm sorry.
Let's make lemonade. So we've talked about the carnivore diet before in previous videos. In a lot of those videos, I featured carnivore diet zealots and...
You're just giving yourself away there. Okay, yes, there are some zealots in this space. There are zealots in every space, you'll find. But if you're only going to feature the ones that are zealots, once you've actually shown that you can competently determine who is a zealot and who isn't, by the way, a topic around which not many students, Brianna, have much say or authority, as it turns out. But okay, go on.
The produce section of the grocery store screaming about how vegetables are bad for you. But I have not yet...
Right, so all carnivores go into supermarkets and scream at people, do they? Is that the implication? We're all mad. Seems like it's the vegans that are mostly doing that, actually, isn't it? Yeah.
Yet dedicated a full video to it, and this has been requested by a lot of people, so here we go. The carnivore diet. Carnivore diet, as the name suggests, is a predominantly meat-based diet.
That's not true. Actually, predominantly, it's fat-based. Okay? So you haven't even got your basic facts right there. Again, it's just your opinions. This is going to be a stream of opinions from Brianna here, it seems.
Personally seen iterations of it that involve other animal products like eggs and butter as well. Some people who eat carnivore may eat some veggies, but from what I've seen, a majority of people who adhere to the carnivore diet completely cast away all plants. And
yeah, that's basically it.
Other carbohydrate-rich foods such as rice and potatoes. We've even seen a lot of people straight up condemn vegetables, saying that they're bad for your health.
You reset your gut by removing all these anti-nutrients like lectins and phytates and oxalates found in plants.
And meat is the only way to go. Imagine that.
We don't have to imagine it, Brianna. It's the reality that we live every day. It's great.
Broccoli being bad for your health.
I wish I did live it every day. I'm not perfect, by the way. I don't adhere perfectly myself. I wish I did, because when I don't, I suffer. Really quite a bit. Yes. So.
The carnivore diet, as we know it today, is not necessarily new, but it hasn't always been...
Hang on, I thought you said it was a fad. And by definition, a fad is something new and encapsulating that has an energy around it for a short period and then it disappears, because that's what fads do. Eating meat and fat for 4.5 million years is not a fad, still.
Called the carnivore diet. In fact, the concept of an all-meat diet can be traced back at least to the 1800s.
No. In fact, 4.5 million years is how far we've traced it back.
A New York physician named James Henry Salisbury was working within a Union camp during the Civil War, where he witnessed a lot of illness among the soldiers. Illnesses such as dysentery brought on by bacterial infections were extremely rampant. Couple that with the horrendous hygiene of Civil War medical practitioners and soldiers alike, and communicable disease was just as much of a threat as gunfire. So I guess Dr. Salisbury was sitting back and just absorbing all of the debilitating illness that he was witnessing. And he concluded that the dysentery, which, by the way, dysentery is an infection of your GI tract, and it causes, among other things, explosive diarrhea and gastrointestinal pain. So he concluded that the dysentery that was causing everybody's explosive bathroom experience was the result of fruits and vegetables fermenting and causing illness, not bacteria. In fact, Dr. Salisbury believed that only 1/3 of one's entire diet should come from fruits and vegetables, and any more than that,
that's about a third too high.
That would cause you severe illness. He also thought that
long term, it seems like one could build an argument that having significant plant material in your diet would seem to be associated with some problematic health issues later in life. Notice how I've exercised the correct scientific discipline there, Brianna, and I have refrained from making a cause and effect claim because I do not have the data to underpin such a claim. What we have is a vast array of anecdotal material lasting decades, as it turns out. And what we also have is an understanding of the correct interpretation of human physiology, anatomical structures, organ systems, all of that sort of stuff. The kind of things I've been studying for possibly nearly as long as you've been alive, I'm guessing. That knowledge base and those anecdotes put together, added to my own personal experience of around about 10 years now of mostly carnivore, and I'm sold. Can I point to the scientific data that says this is so? No. But as a scientist, I am sold, personally. In which case, most antithesists to those that promote carnivory in human beings will say, haha, got you then, because we have all this piles of evidence. No, what you guys have got there is a pile of anti-scientific ideology. Now, I speak with some authority on peer-reviewed publications because I've got one or two in my name. Few more than one or two. But okay, I've also been a peer reviewer more times than you've probably had hot feeds, I would suggest, Brianna. It's disappointing that the folks trained by the dietetics associations behave the way they do. It's a real shame. It's really quite unconscionable, I think. Anyway, carry on.
Because us humans have carnivorous teeth, that means that we are meant to eat exclusively meat.
Oh, teeth, though. It's the teeth argument, is it?
Just so everybody knows, us humans actually have omnivorous teeth.
No, we don't. We have human teeth. And humans also happen to be obligate hypercarnivores, it seems. The shape of our teeth is what it is because there is no negative selection pressure to cause our teeth to change shape. You will not go into a cave anywhere in the world, Brianna, and see paintings of ancient hunting men diving headlong at woolly mammoths with their mouths open, trying to rip their flesh open with their teeth. That is not what you'll see. Okay?
Help us eat both plants and animals. Our sharp incisors in the front of our mouths help us tear and rip meat, and the molars in the back of our mouths help us grind up and chew tough, fibrous plants.
And also meat.
So technically, our mouths are made for both plants and animals.
No. Our mouths are molded by the exact positive and negative selection pressures that have been to hand over, well, nominally it is stated that the human being race as we know it now started about 350,000 years ago, give or take. So since then.
Just saying. So after the war, he published his findings and he declared that his research indicated that a predominantly meat and low carbohydrate diet was the cure for many illnesses.
And those are the anecdotes that you will find universally.
Also detailed how to get started on this diet. Beef steaks, known now today as Salisbury steaks. They had to be the leanest possible cuts of steak.
No, that's a bad idea.
And you could also enjoy it with a side of seafood like fish or oysters, or you could have a side of turkey as well. And you were supposed to precede this meaty harvest with hot water. Also, fun fact, Dr. Salisbury is technically the creator of Salisbury steaks, but he actually...
No, I think you'll find that was nature when it developed the cow.
Didn't initially call them Salisbury steaks himself. It was actually another physician later on down the line who started calling them Salisbury steaks after Dr. Salisbury. And in the beginning, it was just a ground beef patty, like a lump of hamburger meat. But as time went on and as it passed through more creative minds, it became what we now know it as today, as it's traditionally served in the United States anyway, with like a beef patty that kind of is in the shape of a steak and it's covered with mushrooms and gravy. So that's one origin story.
Ugh. Mushrooms? What's wrong with you?
Story of the carnivore diet that I came across in my research. The other one that you probably heard more commonly pushed by carnivore diet zealots is all about how the
zealots, yes,
carnivore diet is primal. And being primal is the only way to achieve good health.
Okay. Yeah, there are one or two idiots that I could even name one, but I won't because his name eludes me. A young man who had some great promise but turned into an idiot and started following some zealots and listening to some zealots and being impressed by them and forming a man-love community of the theological kind, of course. And, who knows what else. Oh, dear. Anyway, everybody knows the story.
Defenders of the carnivore diet assert...
The founders of the carnivore diet, you say? Who are these people, Brianna? And if you can line them up for us, I want to talk to one or two of them because I want to know how it is that they've managed to live for 4.5 million years.
That because our early human ancestors presumably ate a diet mostly of meat and limited plants.
No, it's not a presumption. It's a fact. We have the data. The actual science is in on this, Brianna. Okay? It's called stable isotope testing. You should look that up.
Then we should too, because they had lower rates of chronic disease. And look, they ate mostly meat and they barely ate any plants. Therefore, they were much healthier, and that is the only way to be healthy.
Nobody said it's the only way. Seems to be the best way, in my experience, which is quite significant.
Never mind the fact that our early human ancestors typically didn't even live long enough for chronic...
Okay, so just ridiculous arguments here. Now, what are some of the factors that affected the longevity of ancient human beings that no longer does? For example, I mean, all we need to do is name one confounder, and we can now dismiss what you're going to say as a relevant or worthwhile argument, because it's not. It's just rubbish. It just makes you look a fool, Brianna, I'm sorry to say.
Chronic diseases such as cancer to even set in. They ate just about anything they could to survive the day, and they frequently dropped dead of illnesses that would be very easily treatable today. This assertion
There you go.
Also ignores the changes to our genes and how they interact and behave in our...
All right, so how much of our genes changed in the last circa 350,000 years? Not a great deal. Not a great deal at all.
Environment. These are known as epigenetic changes. From the CDC, epigenetics is a study of how your behaviors and environment can cause changes that affect the way your genes work. Unlike genetic changes, epigenetic changes are reversible and do not change your DNA sequence, but they can change how your body reads a DNA sequence.
Yeah, all it's doing is leveraging the known fact that genes are not just mindless sets of instructions. Genes are reactive. They interact with the environment in which you place those genes at any given time, and then they up or down regulate the production of various proteins in order to subserve the evil machinations of the desire to maintain homeostasis.
And also, before we move on, I just want to say, on the day that I'm filming this, which is Sunday, February 18th, this morning, when I woke up, I was kind of on my phone and I was just, looking at news. And this article popped up, or I think my Google homepage, SciTech Daily. Rewriting history. Groundbreaking new research reveals that early human diets were primarily plant-based.
Okay, and then you look at that study and you see very quickly that it's not a study about ancient human beings at all. It's from an isolated group who lived in the Andes circa 6,500 to 9,000 years ago, i.e. post-agrarian revolution. Okay? A small group as well. I think N equals 62 is what they found. So, no, this is not a study about ancient human beings whatsoever, Brianna. Did you read it?
Huh. And I just want to say I have...
No, apparently. No, she didn't. Okay, good. Carry on, Brianna. You're doing a great job.
I haven't read through the article, but I did.
Oh, there we go. An explicit admission. Good.
I'll read you guys the top part of one of the headings. Recent research challenges the traditional view of early human diets in the Andes.
In the Andes.
Suggesting a shift from
See, early humans in the Andes they might have been, but they weren't early humans, were they? Circa 6.5 to 9,000 years ago, post-agrarian revolution, quite possibly had contact with humans elsewhere who were growing things and stuff. Might have even been trading with them. Who knows? Oh, dear.
Hunter-gatherers to gatherer-hunters. The study analyzing remains from the Willamaya, oh goodness, I'm not sure these names, PATJXA, and Soromikaya, PATJXA, cites in
we can read
Peru,
it.
reveals an 80% plant-based and 20% meat diet among early Andeans. This finding, based on isotope chemistry and statistical modeling, contradicts previous beliefs and influences current perceptions of diets such as the paleo diet.
Okay, and that's the other problem. Did you get that? Did you catch that last one, staff? You should have. Points off if you didn't catch it. Here it is. Based on isotope chemistry, A1, great, actual science, perfect, and statistical modeling. Whoops. So, can we ignore this study now? It's adjusted. Right, what's next?
It also indicates a need to reassess archaeological frameworks globally.
No, it doesn't. Why would n equal 62 on a group of people living in the Andes 6,500 to 9,000 years ago give us rise or reason to change our entire view on the human speciation across the globe? Why on earth would we do that?
Full disclosure, I did not read this whole article.
Yeah, you said that, and we got that before you even said it. It was quite obvious.
But it just felt very telling that I saw this article on the day that I was planning on filming this video.
Oh, right. Good. Awesome logicking.
So, my God. Wait until the carnivore zealots hear about this.
Yes, wait till we zealots hear about this one. We did. We read it. Actually, that's the difference between you and us. We actually read these things and go, oh, thy one-liners are as good as thy magic tricks. Do carry on.
Not going to be happy. Anywho.
Happy? It has no effect. No amount of this gobshitery, this gobbledygook, this excremental slew of anti-science published in the ring-fenced area of ideology known as human nutrition science, none of the stuff is going to give you the good answers or the good oil on anything. Promise. I used to work in the industry there. All right? At the coalface, producing articles and being a researcher and things. Okay?
But what?
So when I tell you that it's filth, the whole industry of academia is filth, you can put that in the bank.
If any, are the benefits of the carnivore diet?
Here we go.
Like I said before, the carnivore diet is, in my opinion, 100% a fad diet. And
well, your opinion is worthless. And it's also demonstrably false because still 4.5 million years.
It has developed what I've observed to be a cult-like following. And I know the word...
Completely unlike any other sort of faction, I should say, or segment of society that believe deeply in their approach to X, Y, or Z? No? Okay, so is this human nature you're talking about here?
The word cult gets thrown around a lot. I really do, you guys. But I feel like that's the best word that I can use to describe how a lot of people treat this diet and being on this diet.
Absolutely, and I don't disagree with that, Brianna, but also the same label, the absolute same label could be applied to everybody, it seems, just about, who goes through a period of indoctrination and mind-washing by the dietetics associations. It's pretty cult-like there too. Don't question the sacred dogma. We'll strike you off and stuff. And don't be telling people any actual facts about nutrition based on any actual science. This is your script that they will give you. So far, you're on it, Brianna. On the script.
Follow several nutrition professionals on social media, and a lot of them have spent a lot of time debunking the nonsense that carnivore diet zealots push.
Well, they've been trying. They have been trying to do that, Brianna. They have not been succeeding to do so. Remotely, in fact.
And they spend time sharing the realities of the diet, which we will get into. And the
realities, you say, okay, great. Tell us all about reality, Brianna.
Realities of following an all-meat, no-vegetable diet are, unsurprisingly, not pretty. Yet, visit the comments.
Once again, you're going to back that up with anything whatever? Spoiler for those who don't want to sit through the whole thing. No, she's not going to back that up with anything whatever because there isn't anything to back that up with.
Section under any one of those posts. Like, find a nutrition professional. Some of my favorites are Bio Lane.
Yes, the boy who can't even correctly state the first law of thermodynamics or apply it appropriately to the objective reality, Brianna, in which we find ourselves. Yes, lame Norton, good. Okay, your credibility is now done, lovey. You're finished now. Lame Norton. Oh, good.
Dr. Adrian Chavez, my friend Abby Langer.
I've done a video on Abby too.
Find any one of their posts in which they're debunking some...
No, they're not. They're not doing any such thing.
Carnivore diet misinformation. Guarantee that you will find several comments from carnivore diet saying things like, the science is wrong. You don't...
No. Not the science is wrong. The science is absent. There is no science to underpin pretty much any of the claims being made by any faction of the nutrition so-called industry. All right? There is no science here with which to make claims. If there were, we'd have definitive answers, in which case the questions would have ceased. Ergo, this discussion wouldn't be ongoing. Logics again, though, Brianna. Something, again, that your training has sadly left you destitute of. Logical thinking process.
You don't need vegetables to be healthy. You don't need fiber to be healthy.
Both correct statements.
A meat-only diet made me healthier.
Also, anecdotally, seems to be quite the common outcome, yes.
I feel better since cutting out vegetables.
Yes, that happens too.
I lost so much weight since...
Yes, people do that too, yes.
Cutting out vegetables and...
This sounds terrible, Brianna. We can't have this kind of diet going on, can we? Goodness gracious.
Carbs. They do not care about the science that's being presented to them.
No, they do not care about the pseudoscientific claptrap dressed up as science that you buffoons always like to parade out. No matter how many times an actual scientist debunks them completely as having the ability to underpin the claims being made. That's the reality, Brianna, of the situation that you seem to have missed somehow.
You see why I'm calling it cult-like?
Well, we're starting to see why a lot of the things that come out of your mouth do. Yes.
They don't care about the evidence and the science.
There isn't any, Brianna. Your fallacious understanding, your destitute, lacking understanding of science, clearly, and your inability to actually think for yourself, it seems. That's what the problem is here. It's your personal incredulity that somehow makes you believe that you are correct and right and that everybody else is wrong. Well, apply a rule set, an actual accepted, universally accepted rule set, the scientific discipline. Stay within those disciplines, only claim what you can support, and you'll be okay. Unfortunately, in the field of human nutrition science, that seems to have gone out the window. Completely. There is no scientific discipline in there by way of the apparently permissible breaches of the scientific discipline in claiming cause and effect where there is no scientific data to underpin that claim. That's the problem here, at the fundamental coalface. Okay? What everybody needs to do here is calm the farm and get back to an understanding that nobody here has the moral high ground or the academic high ground or the scientific high ground. Nobody here has facts at hand, as Dr. Sean Baker has quite correctly said on several occasions recently. The arrogance of the antithesists to claim they have science showing absolutely that the apparently entirely appropriate human species-specific diet is somehow bad for us, that's the ludicrous joke here. Not the fact that we are not prepared any longer to listen to these same ridiculous arguments over and over and over again, them having been debunked. We're done with this. Somehow, your self-education, Brianna, has failed you so vastly that you have been unable to grasp the reality of the situation. In fact, you have fallen folly, or foul, if you like, of the appeal to authority fallacy made to you by the association that A, claims authority in this realm, which it has no business doing, and B, that they are the ones with the science, the secret handshake. We'll train you the science, so we will.
In their mind, the science is wrong and carnivore
It's not wrong, it's absent still.
is right, period. But do any of those claims hold any water? What?
Well, I've been quite clear about what's available. Actual hard sciences, viewed objectively from an educated standpoint regarding human physiology, organ systems, biological pathways of metabolism, etc., all of that. The physical and chemical anthropology, the isotope testing of long bones of people a great deal older than 6,500 to 9,000 years old, actually. And now, a brace of anecdotes so large as to be difficult to ignore for generalized outcomes for people. That's what's available here. What's available elsewhere is an appeal to science, which is actually filled entirely with papers of a pseudoscientific nature, collectively, which prove absolutely nothing. Also collectively, what it achieves is a vast devaluing and erosion of the cornerstones underpinning the very fundaments of science. It's all an offensive pile of garbage in that ring-fenced area of ideology. 90-something% of papers published in that field are not replicable. Hello? The evidence, you say? If you want to talk about evidence, Brianna, first you train yourself in science. For several decades, at least, so that you really get a handle on how excremental this field of endeavor is.
Why do so many people feel better on the carnivore diet?
Because appropriate human-specific diet would seem to be a good idea. It would seem, if you want to guesstimate at a mechanism of action, that would be it. Well, that's because that's how we've evolved and that's how our bodies are designed. And so we feed our bodies according to that design, and hey presto, they love it. There you go. Join me next week when we'll sort out some other great mystery of the universe.
Why do so many people lose a lot of weight on the carnivore diet?
Because maybe it's eating a species inappropriate and specific and poisonous diet that is causing people to be obese in today's society. Maybe.
Well, there are very plausible explanations for all of these things.
Sure, I think I've just given quite a few.
And spoiler, none of these explanations are because an all-meat diet is good for you. Because
Oh, right, now you want to get finicky about terms, having just spouted a bunch of nonsense, alluding to some huge database of evidence and science about nutrition that you seem to believe exists.
Because it's not. Allow me to explain and justify my explanations and personal theories with legitimate science-backed research.
Oh, this will be good because there isn't any of that, Brianna.
Why does everybody lose weight on the carnivore diet? That lady lost 75 pounds in 6 months on the carnivore diet. Therefore, it must be good. Well, not necessarily.
No, see, setting up straw men there. Who said that? A lot of people do say that. I'll give you that. Whatever.
When it comes to fat loss, it's all about energy balance. Calories in.
Nope. No, calories in,
calories out.
Calories in, calories out. Well, Brianna, if you weren't finished by exclaiming lame at Norton as an authority or worthwhile listening to in any way, shape or form, now you're done. Calories in, calories out, you say. No, actually.
Honestly, anyone that tries to tell you otherwise does not understand science. And
No, that's wrong, Brianna. The exact opposite of what you just said is in line with objective reality. You're 180 degrees out of phase, divorced from reality there. I have many fine videos on my actually science-based channel here, Brianna, for people to peruse to see why it is that absolutely it is not calories in, calories out. That is the important metric here, whatever. Not at all.
They're probably also trying to sell you something. Now!
What are you trying to sell us? Well, you're trying to sell us that you're a competent and worthwhile communicator on the science when you're a student and you have no background in science. Are we buying it, kids? Are we buying Brianna's authority here?
Because I know the comments are coming, yes, there are other factors that influence our body fat and fat loss. We can talk all day long about hormonal fluctuations, medications, and how much genetics influence our fat loss.
So all of the things you've listed are some of the reasons that calories in, calories out is not the metric here of utility or value, and that it's based on an inappropriate model, based on a fundamental misunderstanding of the first principles at hand. Probably perpetuated in your mind by listening to lame Norton, Brianna, who doesn't get it.
And fat distribution. But today, we're staying general and we're staying basic because
that's all you've got, isn't it, love?
Its core, for most people, fat loss comes from an energy deficit.
No, it doesn't. Not at all. No. That is a fundamental misunderstanding of the basic physics, the first principles involved. The correct model is the mass in, mass out model when you're talking about someone's mass, Brianna. Should have been pretty obvious, really. I don't really understand how people have got this quite so badly messed up. But anyway, they do, so we'll continue to put it right. Mass in, mass out is the correct model, the correct underpinning.
Are we good? We clear?
Well, we are over here, Brianna. Absolutely, yes. Have been for some time. Yep.
Can we move on? Go.
Yes, please do.
The standard American diet, also known as the Western diet, is, in short, terrible. It's high in sodium, saturated fat, excessive fried, greasy foods,
okay, so more opinions.
Added sugar, excessive sugar-sweetened beverages, and heavily processed and high-calorie food products.
Calories again, no calories involved still.
And it is very, very low in whole grains, fruits, vegetables, and fiber.
Well, good. That's the one thing it's got right.
In fact, about 90% of adults do not eat enough plants in their diet.
Well, hang on a minute. The exact requirement for plants in the human diet, Brianna, is none. It's exactly the same requirement as we have for carbohydrates, none, and fiber, none, phytochemicals, none, and dietary antioxidants from plants, none, because we can get them from somewhere else. All right? So, again, no science here, just your opinion again. I know it's an opinion that's shared by others as well, people that'll pat you on the back for saying, well done, Brianna, for singing the song. But over here, though, the people that follow me that get that this is about science are not applauding you, Brianna. They're going, oh, you silly girl.
United States Department of Agriculture estimates that
an appeal to authority fallacy statement then from this point forward.
Only 11% of the standard American diet consists of whole grains, beans, fruits, vegetables, and nuts. Additionally, on top of the standard American diet being the most predominant diet eaten in the West, hence why it's called the standard American diet, a majority of Americans are also sedentary and do not get the CDC recommended amount of physical activity. Only about 24% of American adults meet the...
Because that's the only thing that's involved here, isn't it? Heat units made up of massless photons in and out, neither of which can affect your mass on a scale or your weight in any way. Neither can any be affected by how much food you eat, nor how much exercise you do. So not only is Brianna obviously an advocate of calories in, calories out, which is laughable, she's underpinning that with a basic thought process that goes, oh, we'll just eat less and move more. No.
the physical activity guidelines set forth by the CDC for aerobic and muscle strengthening exercise. So based on the standard American diet, a typical day of eating for most Americans probably does not involve breakfast. And if it does, the breakfast is probably something like a cup of coffee and like a high fat, high sugar, highly palatable pastry, like a donut or something like that. There's probably a serving or two of fast food in there. And there's probably a lot of snacking on high fat, high calorie, sugary food products. Maybe
high fat, high calorie. Well, high fat is not an issue. But again, calories are really not relevant to this discussion whatsoever. High sugar is a problem, absolutely, and especially if it's mixed with fat. That's the worst possible thing you can do. That's what's wrong with the standard diet.
maybe more things like donuts, pastries, cookies, and then a very large dinner likely involving a dish that's very high in calories and
No, it's still not anything to do with calories.
excessive in sodium, maybe topped off by a very high calorie, high sugar
Oh my God.
dessert. If you haven't picked up on it, a common denominator in the standard American diet is the prevalence of high fat, high calorie foods.
So just repeating yourself inanely and mindlessly over and over again, Brianna, does not make your point.
Like cookies and cakes and pastries, and even foods that are still processed but not as badly processed, other carbohydrates like our grains like rice, bread, and pasta. So what does all of this have the potential of culminating to when consumed in excess? Chronic disease.
Yes, absolutely. Mostly because of a thing that's being called the Randall cycle.
Cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, obesity. And this right here is the reason why so many people demonize sugar. The
No, it isn't. No.
standard American diet is very, very high in those refined carbohydrates that are really high in added sugar and really high in fat.
Okay, so now Brianna is going to show that she doesn't even understand the basic fundamental underpinning logic here, which is that all carbohydrates are sugar. Any digestible carbohydrate will break down to some form of sugar. Mostly it's blood glucose that it's directly delivered and dished up as when you eat something that's a carbohydrate. If it's fructose, okay, it's handled a bit differently in that case. That goes off to the liver and does other things. But basically, it's all sugar.
Cake, cookies, pastries, donuts, coffee cake. I love coffee cake. These foods are highly palatable. They taste really good. Sodium is a flavor enhancer, so that it makes the food taste really good. Fats give these foods a really creamy texture, and that's really pleasing to our mouths. And these foods are usually really, really easy to overconsume. Like, how easy is it to eat an entire bag of potato chips just sitting on the couch while you're watching TV? Or eat a whole bag of, like, Hershey Kisses? Additionally, even though these foods are really high in
These are not foods though, Brianna, are they?
calories, they're very low.
The point you're making is that what people eat on average in the standard Western diet is really bad, and nobody's going to disagree with you. It's terrible. But that's got nothing whatever to do with the potential health effects or observations of people's health around eating a carnivore diet. Nothing at all.
Low in nutritional value, and they're also not usually filling either. Sidebar. Please note that I'm emphasizing consuming these foods in excess. I'm using the word excess a lot. I will never, ever, ever tell you guys that eating a cookie or a donut is bad.
All right, all calories are the same. They all have the same value. A calorie is a calorie. You just count your calories, which you can't actually do, Brianna, because it's impossible, and you'll be all right. This is incompetence of the highest order, Brianna. This is unacceptable misinformation for people. This is garbage. This is not fit to be broadcast on your YouTube channel at all. You need to take this video down, and probably your channel, I would suggest.
Because it's not. At my hospital where I'm currently doing my clinical rotation, Wednesday is Warm Cookie Wednesday, and I am all about those chocolate chips. But you know what else I also enjoy? Always water throughout the day, sometimes with my lunch a diet soda, which is a perfectly fine alternative to full sugar soda.
Oh my God, seriously?
Whichever protein the cafeteria is making that day, which is usually either chicken or salmon, a serving of starch like brown rice or potatoes, and then I get another serving of hot vegetables on the side. The key here is balance, and that's going to be...
Yeah, okay, so a balanced diet is the key here. Good, Brianna. Good, good. Singing off the song sheet of the dietetics, the Church of Dietetics. Yep. No, balance is not a good thing in the diet. What makes a diet apparently good is its specificity for that species. Each individual species, including human beings, having developed in a specialist niche. Okay?
Be the biggest takeaway, honestly, from this entire video. Balance. If you only eat a diet of cookies and pizza and ice cream, I sure hope you like type 2 diabetes and high blood pressure. However,
Sure. But what has that got to do with the carnivore diet?
if you occasionally enjoy cookies and pizza and ice cream in moderation alongside a wholesome, balanced diet.
All right, so all calories are the same. Eat any crap you like so long as you stay under your calories, which you can't possibly count anyway. Good.
That also includes fruits and vegetables, whole grains, lean meats, and a variety of nutrient-dense foods that you enjoy. Then
Okay, that's just nonsense. That's just the worst possible nutritional advice you could give somebody. Other than, hey, what you should do is eat the standard diet, because that's great. You're only one step away from having said that, though, Brianna, aren't you? Because you're saying, look, the standard diet is terrible. Here's our advice, which is also terrible.
that cookie and pizza and ice cream is perfectly okay. And that is how you set yourself
No, it isn't. No.
Up for health and lowering your risk of chronic disease.
There are no studies that inform us on risk of chronic disease. None at all.
Anyway, so what so many people get wrong is, especially these carnivore diet zealots and these keto zealots, because they kind of go hand.
Everyone's a zealot that isn't trained by the dietetics clowns. Yep. We're all zealots.
In hand a little bit. Carbohydrates on their own are not inherently more fattening or unhealthy than any other macronutrient.
That is conditionally untrue. As soon as you exceed the intake of mass of carbohydrates that your body can utilize per unit time, that sets off a series of biological reactions that do indeed lead to fat gain, obesiogenesis, if it continues, pro-inflammatory state, if it continues, and that is the actual etiology and underpinnings of most of the big killers in Western society, in fact. Okay?
1 gram of carbohydrates is 4 calories.
No, it isn't.
Gram of protein is 4 calories.
No, it isn't. That's even less accurate. That's so wildly inaccurate, it's laughable. No, Brianna, false.
A calorie is a unit of measurement.
No, it isn't. Well, yes, measurement of what, though?
1 calorie is equal to 1 calorie. Now,
Oh, good. Good. Love the definition. Not circular at all.
even though a calorie is a calorie, because it's just a unit of energy, there
What sort of energy is it a unit of? And when you can tell me what sort of energy it's a unit of, heat, then perhaps you can tell me how that is embodied or made manifest by the universe as we understand it. Photons. Okay? Go look up the rest mass of a photon, Brianna.
there is a discussion to be had about the nutritive value of 1 calorie of Oreos and 1 calorie of broccoli. So yes, there is a difference in...
Oh, well, hang on. Which is it, Brianna? Because if calories are the underpinnings and everything we need to understand here, which you said before, then 100 calories doesn't matter if it's broccoli or Oreos. I wouldn't eat either myself, personally.
the nutrient value depending on where those calories are come from. But speaking strictly in terms of energy, a calorie is equal to a calorie.
Yeah, but how much is that? And what is it equal to? And how does that have any relevance to the workings of the human body in any way, shape, or form? Map that out for us, Brianna. Shall we wait? Good.
A lot of caveats on things today because I just know what the comment section is going to feel like under this video.
There is no link between sugar consumption and health as long as calories are not excessive.
That's nothing to do with calories, Michael, you stupid buffoon. No.
You're meeting your protein and fat needs, and the diet is mostly healthy, unprocessed food.
This is completely and utterly correct. Times cool. Now, there is a lot of data.
This guy is not a credible source of critique on anything. This guy is not a credible source of information. This guy is an absolute, utter buffoon and a clown.
Showing that the more sugar you eat, the higher your risk of death from cardiovascular and other diseases. But this is because those who eat more sugar are eating...
There are no studies that inform on risk of anything regarding human health outcomes of any kind and diet or part of diet of any kind. No studies exist that can inform on risk, still.
More calories overall and gaining weight.
No, it's nothing to do with calories, still.
When you control for total calories, like in this study, which I've...
You can't control for something you can't measure. Fucking idiot.
...covered in my upcoming book, where women consumed 1,100...
Dr. Idiot. That's who this is. You want to look him up?
100 calories, and one group had 118 grams of pure table sugar every day for 6 weeks. The other group just had 11 grams. Both groups improved their body weight, blood pressure, body fat, and blood lipids, as well as improvements in depression, hunger, and mood.
So what?
Not just that, but meta-analyses of 25 studies show that when calories are...
25 poor quality studies meta-analysed makes a better study, does it? No. It's still nonsense.
...equated, whether you have fructose, high fructose corn syrup, glucose, or sucrose, it has no significant effect on most...
Significant means statistically, Dr. Idiot. Has nothing to do with clinical utility whatsoever. You don't even understand that. You can get statistically significant differences between two data points, which are very, very, very small differences based on a very, very large sample size. That's why meta-analysis does what it does, and then claims to be the academic moral high ground. No. A meta-analysis is only more powerful than any other form of skullduggery if the underpinning skullduggeries, the underpinning studies, are themselves of good quality, which they're not. Okay? Your idea.
Cardiometabolic markers. Even in studies that overfeed sugar or fats, there's no differences in body fats. So
how much is overfeeding? Based on what? Based on some heat unit estimate? That could be a confounding problem, couldn't it? Yes.
There is nothing uniquely problematic about sugar.
But there is when you have more of it than your body can deal with. Yes, there is then in that case. Absolutely.
The issue is what is
Of course, it's the dose that makes the poison on anything. We understand that. So all I'm doing is, once again, providing you with yet another universal truth.
Displaced from the diet. If you're consuming lots of hyperpalatable foods with high sugar, fat, and salt, like cakes, biscuits, donuts, etc., then...
Right, obviously that's not a good idea. For reasons quite unlike what you think it's not a good idea. But all of us over here that understand know why that's not a good idea. And what's that got to do with the carnivore diet? Still.
You will likely overconsume calories because they're so...
No. Nobody consumes calories. You can't consume a photon. A photon can't be brought to rest. It has no rest mass. All right? So false.
Tasty. When you overconsume these calories, not only...
No, you still can't consume calories.
Do you miss out on nutrient-rich foods, you then increase body fat and all of the issues that come with increased adiposity.
Yes, but why does that happen? When you mix carbohydrates and fats in your diet. Why does that happen, Dr. Idiot?
Like inflammation, cancer, and heart disease. So don't be scared of sugar, just understand that excess calories and a lack of nutrients is...
No, it's nothing to do with calories, still.
The issue. Glass is missed.
Anyway, but what all this comes down to is energy balance.
No, it isn't. Still, it's mass balance. Mass in, mass out. Still.
When people switch to eating carnivore, they're usually cutting out all of these foods.
Which foods? There are no foods that we cut out. We eliminate non-food items from our diet, is what we do.
High fat, high calorie, high...
Hang on. We cut out high fat on a carnivore diet? No, we don't. And calories are still completely irrelevant.
High in added sugar refined carbohydrates.
That's right. We cut out all carbohydrates because they're all sugar.
When they cut out all of these foods, they're automatically
Now, the things you've just mentioned there are not foods.
cutting out a lot of their daily calories.
No, it's nothing to do with calories still. Nothing whatever to do with calories. In fact, I consume so-called, because it can't be done, more so-called calories now than I ever did on a standard diet. And I have quite a bit less body fat than I used to have. Explain that, Brianna, because that does not fit within your paradigm. And I'm not the only person I could point to that would report similarly. Nothing whatever to do with units of heat energy made manifest as photons, disturbances in the electromagnetic field. Massless particles, Brianna. No.
If we assume that they were probably eating a standard American diet, which statistically there's a high chance many of them were, and then they shift to carnivore, they probably cut their daily calories down by 500 to...
All right, so the carnivore diet is only any good because it cuts down units of heat, which it doesn't. And it's less problematic than the standard diet, which is full of crap. Well, isn't that the exact same argument that these vegtards are using to try and promote their destitute diet, which is utterly lacking in nutrient, as shown quite clearly by Dr. Idiot just a few minutes ago? No? Okay.
1,000, maybe even 1,500 calories a day. And that is
no calories still.
Why they lose weight. Not because carnivore is superior for weight loss.
So, Brianna's never heard of the inflammasome, the endocrine system, the hormonal system, clearly. Or she's conveniently forgot all about them again to again incorrectly cite calories in, calories out. Okay.
It's because they've reduced their energy intake. So
no, it isn't, still.
Something else that I've seen a lot of people report on the carnivore diet is just generally feeling better, especially in terms of their gastrointestinal issues. Well,
it's almost as if the plants are causing a problem in our guts.
Well, I have a strong theory about this, but I did not...
I have a strong theory too. My theory is based on 2 decades as an academic and clinician to a very high level eventually, obviously, in that field, before retiring from that field to become a YouTube influencer, etc. This is much better, by the way. I don't miss academia at all because it's just a cesspit. Anyway, a great deal of experience behind my theories and ideas, not so much behind yours, Brianna, is there? Sorry about that. It's just a fact.
Not come up with it entirely on my own. Dr. Adrian Chavez planted the seed in my stupid little head about this theory.
Okay, we'll just leave it.
I went on to do more research, and then I formed my own opinion about it. So,
did you? Did you? No. All right, good.
Like I said, the other commonality that I see a lot of people who embark on the carnivore diet is they had a lot of unresolved GI issues that they just couldn't get under control.
Yeah, but because plants were the problem, perhaps, and then remove the apparent irritant, and the irritability goes away. Bugging me. But where's the source, though? Where's the science? Well, where's your science that says the sun will come up tomorrow morning? Show me a paper, a published paper that proves it. Science is not the answer to everything, is it?
Gas, persistent bloating, diarrhea, things like that. I've even seen people with IBS who say that the carnivore diet cured their IBS. So,
right. That's a quite common anecdote.
Here's my theory. And I
have a theory about brontosauruses. They're very, very, very thin at one end, much, much thicker in the middle, and once again, very thin at the other end. Oh, bugger, that wasn't my theory. I stole it from Monty Python. I don't have any theories either, Brianna. I just repeat other people's theories too. Let's hear your repeated theory.
Well, it's a strong one. The reason I believe that those GI symptoms improve on the carnivore diet is because since it's usually an all meat and no plant diet, they're cutting out a lot of the foods which can often cause GI issues in people.
You mean plants?
With IBS or just GI sensitivities. They're basically, albeit unintentionally, going on an extreme...
It's just an extreme elimination diet. That's all it is. That's why it works. I thought this was your original opinion, Brianna. I thought you were about to give us something new because you've formed your own opinion, so you have. Disappointing, isn't it, kids?
No FODMAP diet. What are FODMAPs? FODMAP, FODMAP, is an acronym. It means
It's a form of elimination diet, so I had it right.
it's fermentable oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyols. FODMAP
And where do all of those things come from, Brianna? It's not meat and fat, is it? No. Shall we move on?
foods are short-chain carbohydrates that are not absorbed very well in the small intestine, and they can cause a lot of negative GI symptoms in some people.
Many people, most people, have some degree of GI distress on a standard diet.
Examples of FODMAP foods are vegetables like onions, mushrooms, asparagus, some fruits like apples, mangoes, cherries.
Wow. The day I hear anything remotely novel or ground shaking or even remotely individual from a dietitian will probably be the day I'll fall off my perch backwards. Seriously, Brianna?
Wheat, barley, rye, certain snack products, sweeteners like honey, some dairy products like milk and yogurt, and also legumes. I didn't even name every food that falls into the FODMAP category, but that's already a lot of foods that most people...
Most of those weren't food though, were they, Brianna? No.
Probably consume at least in some capacity every day.
Correct, but that doesn't mean they should.
Especially if you eat a standard American diet. So if you eat a standard American diet, which most Americans probably do.
You've said this, remember? Not that long ago.
And you have sensitivities to any of these foods, it's not really hard to see how cutting them out by going on a carnivore diet can actually seemingly resolve your GI issues and make...
No, the resolution of these people's issues is not seemingly or imagined, Brianna. They haven't made it up. They got better. They were turned into a newt. They got better.
Make you feel better. If you notice, not one single FODMAP food is meat. So
we did notice, Brianna. Yes. Well done, love.
If you're someone who's sensitive to FODMAPs and you switch to carnivore diet and start feeling better, that's probably why.
So? Okay, let's let you have your theory that's not original. By the way, Brianna, at all. So?
If you're on a carnivore diet, you're not eating those foods anymore. And FYI, that's not me advocating for carnivore diet. Carnivore diet is absolutely terrible for
No, it isn't.
Your health, and I will prove
No, it isn't. And no, you won't.
it shortly. But
no, you won't.
In the meantime, if you think you're sensitive to FODMAPs, do your best to get with a licensed healthcare professional and discuss with them perhaps embarking on a low or no FODMAP diet.
Licensed by whom? And what would give them authority to license anybody to do anything?
And seeing how you feel. You may even be able to collaborate with a registered dietitian. Yay!
Yeah, I don't think you should do that, though, because you guys don't have the first clue of what you're talking about at all.
Hey, then there are those of the carnivore camp who just hate all things carbohydrates and basically embark...
Yeah, that's what we do. We just hate on carbohydrates all day, Brianna. We've got no other energy to do anything else.
On the carnivore diet as kind of an extreme keto. And I'm calling it extreme keto because like even some people who do the keto...
See, that once again just shows your absolute destitution of understanding of the metabolic process there, Brianna. Because carnivore is less ketogenic than a ketogenic diet is. Basically. People that eat a carnivore diet tend to eat vastly more protein than people on a ketogenic diet. Okay? So get a clue, please, Brianna.
Diet still eat a lot of vegetables. They swear up and down that sugar and every other form of carbohydrates are the reason that people are obese or develop chronic disease, which is patently false.
No, it isn't, actually. It's entirely conditionally correct.
Chronic disease develops as a result of compounding variables.
Yes.
Including but not limited to a poor diet.
Yes, but you don't know what that is, Brianna, because you've been indoctrinated by a society that has no clue on that.
I don't know, maybe like eating an all meat, no vegetable diet.
There we go. That's an example of what I'm talking about.
Or conversely, eating a diet that's very, very high in sodium or excess added sugar, excessive alcohol intake, sedentary lifestyle, tobacco use, and genetics. Carbohydrates on their own are not inherently more harmful than any other macronutrient.
Yes, they are. In fact, they're the only macronutrient that is immediately toxic over a certain threshold of toxicity in the individual. Fats are not toxic in that way. Amino acids are not toxic in that way. Carbohydrates are. Absolutely. Demonstrably. So false. Again, Brianna, completely false.
For most humans, our bodies actually need a good amount of carbohydrates to help us make glucose in the most efficient way possible.
No, we don't need anything of the sort, in fact. The fact that you have gluconeogenesis means that you do not require what you've just said there, Brianna, at all. We are capable of producing all the glucose required ourselves with perfect efficiency, or perfectly good efficiency, as good as anything else.
Because glucose is the primary fuel for pretty much every cell in your body.
Absolute nonsense. Completely false. Rubbish.
What's the name of the game here, you guys? Balance. So
No, it isn't. Still, balance is not what's required whatsoever. No.
at this point, what are some of the risks of the carnivore diet?
There are none established. Risk is a cause and effect statement. There are no cause and effect data points available. End of discussion.
Because there are some. And
No, there are not. No.
by some, I mean a lot.
No, there are not. Any. None at all. Still.
Hypertension,
No.
cholesterol,
No. And that's not a problem.
increased risk of certain cancers, such
No, there is no study that informs on risk.
as colorectal cancer,
No.
which is on the rise in young adults.
Yes, but that's not a cause and effect established artifact of anything, in fact.
And pancreatic cancer.
Yes, same deal.
Several nutrient deficiencies, for example, scurvy. Yes, scurvy
Yes, we've all got scurvy here on the carnivore diet, haven't we? Are you going to say we can't be carnivores because we don't have sharp, pointy teeth as well, love? Are you going to do that one as well for us? You've already told us Lame Norton is a good source of information, and you don't understand gluconeogenesis, and you don't understand what science is or what good science is and what's absolute rubbish, and you've been indoctrinated. Sorry about that.
Scurvy is a real thing. It happens when you don't get enough vitamin C.
That's right. So we've all dropped dead of scurvy, have we? It would have happened to me about 10 years ago, were that the case, because scurvy takes 6 to 8 weeks to develop. What gives?
Which you get from plants, which you're not eating if you're only eating meat.
Actually, meat does contain vitamin C, love, so you don't know that either, right? It contains enough. For a person eating a carnivore diet, we can get enough vitamin C from the meat. Good.
Unlike what I mentioned before about in some people saying that carnivore helped cure their IBS or fix their GI issues. If you have an existing GI issue like chronic constipation, then carnivore could actually make things much, much worse for you.
No. There is only one study in existence which talks about constipation outcomes for people as that relates to the carnivore approach by way of removing fiber from people's diets. And the outcomes of that study are absolutely unequivocal, Brianna. Perhaps you should look that up. Do a search on YouTube for Dr. Paul Mason and fiber. You'll find it. It's quite a classic video nowadays. It's great. Go and check that one out.
Because you're not eating any fiber. The American Institute for Cancer Research recommends eating no...
So an appeal to authority fallacy statement. Who cares what they recommend? Do they have any science underpinning their recommendations? No, they don't.
more than 18 ounces of cooked red meat a week.
Who cares what they recommend? It's a mindless recommendation.
If you come across a TikTok or Instagram page of any carnivore diet seller, they most certainly eat more than that.
That's right, because that's indicated, apparently health promoting, and in line with our entire beings as human beings, the way we've developed over at least 4.5 million years.
And on top of all that, what's worse is that they don't eat any plants.
That's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. We don't need to eat any plants.
Many of them don't anyway. So let's now talk about the most glaring issue with the carnivore diet, the fact that it lacks plants.
So why is that an issue? Go and talk to any carnivore on the planet if they could speak to you. Other than humans, I mean. And point out to them their problematic diet not containing plants. See how far you get.
I have heard, and if you're watching this video, I'm sure you have heard countless times at this point from carnivore diet zealots that plants are bad.
Oh, you're getting boring now, love. You really are getting very fucking boring, all right? Not a surprise, I suppose.
Bad for you. Dietary.
Which one of us is the fucking zealot, Brianna? Which one?
Fiber is unnecessary and does nothing in cancer prevention. You don't need plants. This plant is an anti-nutrient, blah, blah, blah.
Blah, 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 blah. Right. Prove them wrong.
Need fiber. Here's why. Number one, fiber is simply an indigestible carbohydrate. It plays no vital role in the body.
Here is
correct.
Your reminder that you do not need
Good to see you.
to eat vegetables to be healthy. Meat has all you need, and the nutrients are more bioavailable than in plants. So eat your steak.
All right, how much fiber do you have to eat on
Hi, Sean.
a meat-based elimination diet? I haven't had any significant fiber in my diet in about 7 years. You do not need to eat any fiber at all. It is a non-essential nutrient.
It's not even particularly a nutrient at all, in fact.
It is not essential for life. It may not even be essential for good optimal health.
Correct.
Had chronic constipation for my entire life until I started the carnivore diet. For the last year, I've had zero fiber but plenty of fat. And I'm finally not constipated for the first time in my life. Turns out, fiber is completely unnecessary. Sure, it bulks up your stools, but if you're eating enough fat, then your bowels will move regularly anyway.
This information is absolutely, categorically, indisputably untrue.
No, it isn't any of it. Nothing that has just been said is any of the things you've just described them as, Brianna. Not at all.
And them spreading this rhetoric is honestly just irresponsible.
Now, what's irresponsible, Brianna, is you, a student, coming online, making an authoritative YouTube video about a topic in which you are not qualified. That is what's ludicrous here.
There are mountains of scientific research.
No, there isn't. One of us is a scientist, Brianna, with several decades of experience. And the other one is you. You are wrong. No, there isn't.
That point toward a diet rich in fiber and plants.
No, there aren't. No.
Having an inverse association with colorectal cancer.
Not particularly, in fact. No. Not even correct on that statement.
In this,
the strength of any associative data set concerning any of the cancers is piss weak at best. There are no strong evidences there, even association-wise.
research goes back years, you guys.
It doesn't matter how far it goes back. If it's poor quality, excremental garbage, it's still poor quality, excremental garbage later. It does not make it a more convincing anything except a more convincing pile of turd.
And also, just so everybody knows, inverse in this context means basically opposing things.
Oh, Jesus, really?
So when one goes up, the other goes down. Take this systemic review and meta-analysis from 2011. It aimed to investigate the association.
So it talks about risk, a topic about which it is completely incapable of informing. It uses statistical skullduggery, smoke and mirrors and fuckery beyond your belief, and absolutely beyond your comprehension, Brianna, without any question. Actually, perhaps you'd like to come and debate me face-to-face about the statistical approach taken by these authors in this paper. That would be welcome, wouldn't it? Staff, do we want to see that? Comment under there. Would you like Brianna to come and debate me on the statistical approach taken by these authors in this paper and the flaws and foibles in it? As to whether it's a good source of information that we should take seriously or whether we should use it to wipe our backsides with. That'd be good.
Between dietary fiber intake and whole grains and risk of colorectal cancer. This research found that a high intake of dietary fiber
made close to no difference whatsoever, even if it was a causal relationship, which it isn't. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Very, very unconvincing set of statistics there. Very unconvincing set of statistics, in fact.
in particular from cereals and whole grains.
But of course, the problem here is that Brianna is completely incapable of reading this abstract, reading those statistics, and even commenting sensibly on what they say. And as such, she should not be commenting publicly on this material in a video. Period.
Was associated with a reduced risk of colorectal cancer.
No, it wasn't. Risk is a cause and effect statement.
Take this study from 2015, and it found the same thing.
Using the same sorts of methodologies? Incredible. Using the same adjustments to massage things into the shape they wanted? Yep.
Observed even more evidence that consuming...
No, see, there you go again, evidence. No, this is not evidence of anything except the complete bastardization and corruption of nutrition science by charlatans who have no business calling themselves scientists. This is rubbish. And perhaps you'd like to debate this paper with me in detail, Brianna. We'll go into it, you and I. What's the bet she doesn't want to do that?
A high-fiber diet, particularly from grains and fruit, is associated...
If you've got more brain cells than it seems you've got, Brianna, stay the hell away from a debate with me on statistics, research methods, and meta-analyses, because you will get absolutely torn to shreds. Okay? This is not something you are competent to be speaking publicly on. Your arrogance and hubris to believe yourself to be qualified to do so is frankly stunning. Stunning.
With the reduced risk of colorectal adenoma.
No studies inform on risk.
And cancer. We can...
By the way, people often say to me, you're just interrupting every 3 words. Well, maybe she could string more than 3 words together without making a mistake. That'd be awesome. Then I'd be able to let her say more things. I will not allow falsehoods and fallacies on my channel. And actually what I'm trying to do is to train your thinking to immediately, whenever you hear a video spoken by someone else that I'm not even in, as soon as they say risk of this, risk of that, bam, switch that person off. They do not understand the statistics. They do not know what they're talking about. No, there are no studies that inform on risk. We're done with you. You are not credible. Who's next? Okay? That's what I'm doing. I'm educating you. Hopefully, some of you. Not Brianna, though, I suspect. She's already been educated. She knows better. Right, what's next?
Do this with other types of cancer, too. This study from 2021
also is not an experiment proving anything about cancer whatsoever. We're done with that. What's next?
Evaluated the associations of whole grains and dietary fiber intake with liver cancer risk and chronic liver disease mortality.
So, healthy user bias, we're done. What's next?
This was a cohort study which recruited over 485,000 people.
So what?
Between 1995 and 1996, and it followed up with them in 2011. That's about 50.
Right, so pretty granular, isn't it, then? How are things now at the beginning? Rightio, good. Now, we'll see in about 10 or 11 years, or whatever it was. And we'll ask you the same questions again then. What happened in between those points? A few little confounds, covariates, collinearities, a few little bits and bobs here and there that completely, utterly underpin the ability of the study to inform us meaningfully or with any utility on anything concerning risk or cause and effect or hazard or anything else. It's rubbish. Before we even talk about the fact that it's not even a representative population.
15 and a half years that they followed the...
15 and a half, there you go. So, yeah, good. It's the same thing with this LDL stuff that people are always talking about. Show me the area under the curve of exposure to LDL as that relates to incidence of heart disease. Show me that. No? Okay.
These participants. In the 2011 follow-up, they identified 940 liver cancer cases and 993 deaths from chronic liver disease.
Yeah, so what?
Ultimately, this study concluded an
Whoa, straight to the conclusion? You haven't given us any outcome statistics there, lovey. Not one. So how do we know that this conclusion is underpinned? It's not. Spoiler.
Inverse association between whole grain and dietary fiber intake with liver cancer incidence and chronic liver disease mortality in the United States population.
Great, I'll tell you what, there are all sorts of things associated with all sorts of other things too, Brianna, aren't there? Does that make the things that are associated all cause and effect pairs? No? Okay, good.
Fiber intake was associated with lower risk of liver.
No. There are no studies that inform on risk. No. Not one. Still.
Cancer and liver disease mortality.
No, wrong. False.
In this study, they found that the dietary fiber was particularly from vegetables, beans, and grains.
So what?
Furthermore, a low-fiber diet places a lot of environmental pressure on the cells and tissue of the colon and...
No, it doesn't. At all. False. The exact opposite is true, it seems.
The stomach, esophagus, breast, prostate, pancreas, and the liver. So
nonsense. Absolute rubbish.
If you're eating 6 pounds of meat a day...
Who is? I'm not. Goodness gracious.
Hello. Further.
Well, hang on. Who's eating 6 pounds of meat a day? That'd have to be a pretty large individual to warrant that, and there might be one. It's not me, though.
Furthermore, largely plant-based diets are associated with lower risk of cardiovascular...
No, there are no studies that inform on risk still.
...vascular disease.
So, healthy user bias, we're done with that, because that one's not an experiment either. Neither's that one. That's not an experiment. That's a piece of mishmash. That's not science. We're here to talk about science and evidence, aren't we?
Types of cancer and all-cause mortality.
So another associative study, which also cannot inform on cause and effect, risk, hazard, or anything remotely related to any of those things. Good?
Need I say more?
We wish you wouldn't. You've said far too much already. Far too much. You've wasted our time, again, with nothing original, nothing correct or valid, nothing underpinned by anything except a self-claimed authority statement from an organisation that hasn't even credentialed you yet.
Yes, I do, and I'm going to.
Oh, God. How did we know that was going to happen?
To keep in mind is, in this context, plant-based doesn't always necessarily mean vegan or vegetarian.
Here we go.
If you were to ask me, I would say that I'm an omnivore. I'm an omnivore because I eat everything. But I also could say that my diet is largely plant-based because...
See, someone's behaviour as an omnivore doesn't make that appropriate, and it doesn't make the species from which they come also an omnivore. We are obligate hypercarnivores. We have the actual hard science in to prove that.
Because when I'm putting together a meal, I prioritize plants on my plate. I eat several...
Well, that's a mistake, Brianna.
...servings of plants every single day.
That's a mistake.
But I also love fish and chicken and occasionally enjoy a good steak. So you don't have to go full vegan or vegetarian to be plant-based. Just eat more plants.
Well, the standard diet is plant-based, Brianna. Isn't it? So I hope you're going to give us more than just eat plants because, well...
Some people who are watching this who adhere to a vegan or vegetarian diet, I don't know, I feel like some people may disagree with that, but we can fight about it later. Colon cancer is the second leading cause of cancer-related deaths worldwide.
Okay.
Back in 2020, the American Cancer Society predicted that approximately 148,000 people would be diagnosed with colorectal cancer and approximately 53,000 of them would die from it.
Okay, but what's that got to do with anything, really?
I think at this point, all of us can agree that cancer is truly an ugly and insidious disease.
Yes.
But personally, colorectal cancer kind of scares me more than others. Like I mentioned before, rates of colorectal cancer are increasing in young adults, and they have been.
Why is that happening, Brianna? It certainly isn't a lack of fibre that's causing it, or meat. At least there's absolutely no evidence extant whatsoever that would lead us to believe that. Is the Randall cycle in existence, Brianna? Is it a thing? I'll give you a hint. Yes, it is. Does that tell us the basic tenets of how our diet should be structured? Yes, it does, absolutely, clearly. There are two survivable patterns, one of which is replete with everything we need, and one of which is absolutely destitute. We have now just whittled our odds down, our options down, to one option, carnivore. Because, oh yeah, that's right. I can't be right about that. We don't have sharp, pointy teeth. Scurvy, though, and bum cancer. Heart disease, of course. No, none of those things. What's next?
Been steadily over the last few decades, and science can't pinpoint why.
Ah, that's the first correct thing you've said all video, Brianna. Congratulations. It's only taken well over an hour. There you go. Good. Apply that same level of surety to everything else you've said today. Unbrainwash yourself, unlearn everything you've been taught, and maybe you'll be able to join us back over here in the indicated side, on the side of right, good, justness, and whatever else it is that we strive towards.
And I find that absolutely terrifying. I'm sure most of you watching this who are subscribed, you also watch me for my anti-MLM content, and if you watch me for my anti-MLM content...
Could it get worse? Could it get any worse? This is clearly a highly, highly miseducated, over-opinionated buffoon.
I'm sure you probably know who Jessie Lee Ward is. I'm bringing up colon cancer a lot. I'm sure we all kind of can't help but think about her, especially if you're watching this on my channel and you're a subscriber. She died of colorectal cancer after a very short battle where she ignored her physician's recommendations, which likely could have extended her life.
Well, how do you know? There was no control situation. You are speculating there, Brianna. And you are certainly far less qualified as an oncologist even than you are as a nutritionist or a competent commentator on the science, because you're not that.
Which is honestly very sad. Around that time...
Yes, it absolutely is, but this is not something you should be talking publicly about because you do not understand it.
Another content creator I follow, he has nothing to do with like anti-MLM stuff, and his wife died of colorectal cancer, and she was...
That's tragic and terrible, but still, that has nothing whatever to do with a carnivore diet.
Less than 30 years old, and it just broke my heart for him and his family. Parasocial relationships are crazy because I don't know any of these people, but it affected me, and it, like, in a way made me fear my own mortality even more. I also kind of now have a mild phobia of developing colon cancer.
That's clear.
Like, it's scary to me because both...
I'll tell you what, to minimize the likelihood that you, as any given individual, Brianna, from the human race, will develop any form of cancer, the best advice as an actually competent scientist with multiple decades experience, multiple peer-reviewed publications in my name, etc., 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 someone who actually is competent on science, I can tell you that my opinion, which absolutely is underpinned, would be that you should immediately start moving towards a species-appropriate, species-specific diet, i.e. hyper-carnivore, ideally 100% carnivore if you can achieve that. Move to that slowly over 6 to 8 weeks. Don't hammer over and change your diet overnight. That'll cause problems. Don't do that. And there are 4 other things you should do as well, in my mind. And you'll find them on a video called 5 Health Hacks, where I'm doing that on the thumbnail cover, so that you can see that there are 5, and also so that you can see the palm of my hand, which apparently makes me much more trustworthy. There you go. One of those things involves MLM. Not necessarily that you're involved in doing MLM, but it's an MLM product. One of those things that I advocate for, you ignorant person.
Both of these 2 women were around my age. Jessie Lee Ward was only a couple years older than me. I'm 31 years old. I'm not saying that the carnivore diet caused their colorectal cancer, or the carnivore diet alone is a cause of colorectal cancer.
Well, you've inferred that, though, by giving us anti-scientific claptrap in the form of prospective cohort studies, which are actually completely fabricated from adjusted data sets, Brianna. And now you're going to caveat and say, I'm not saying it's the cause. It's a bit late, because we've already established that. There is no cause and effect relationship evidence in play here.
Because remember, scientists can't figure out the reason for the rise in colon cancer in young adults. But in the context of this conversation and knowing what we know about excessive meat intake,
well, who is to determine what's excessive meat intake and what level should we put on that? What is excessive?
Low fiber and low plant intake.
Yeah, we don't need fiber or plants. We've established that.
Inverse risk it has on.
No. There are still no studies that inform on risk. At all. No.
Developing colorectal cancer. I feel that it's a reasonable conclusion that eating the
Who cares what you feel about what's reasonable or not? What you've shown, Brianna, is that you are actually destitute of competence and should not be making videos publicly for people to watch using such authoritative language as you are here. You are misrepresenting science, actually. And you are mindlessly parroting a pretty old song that we've heard many times over.
Carnivore diet with no plants probably doesn't help. Now, all of that.
No, that's not a claim that you can support with anything whatsoever. It's just an opinion. It's an ignorant opinion.
Being said, meat is not the enemy, unless there's a reason you can't eat it, obviously. I can think of a couple medical conditions in which people cannot consume meat. For most of us, meat is not the enemy. Meat, including red meat, is very nutrient dense, and it's an incredible source of B vitamins, iron, zinc, iodine, and protein. In fact, much of these things that are...
And everything else a human being needs on a daily basis, meat and animal fat combined. Everything we need, it's there. Nothing else.
Our bodies need can only be obtained from eating meat. Unless you're not a meat eater, maybe you eat a vegan diet or a vegetarian diet.
In which case you're an idiot. Sorry.
You still need those things, but you're probably taking a supplement. So you guys...
And probably not therefore getting what you need in a format that you can use.
What am I saying here? An all meat diet is very, very bad for...
No, it isn't. There is no evidence to underpin your claim still.
For your health.
No, wrong, Brianna. Completely demonstrably wrong. You cannot support that claim with science.
And I would also like to add that a poorly executed vegan or vegetarian diet is also very bad for your health. Now,
not going to argue with that.
What exactly do I mean?
Although I could in exactly the same way, but I'm not going to. Because, there you go, I'm biased and I'm a bigot or something.
What do you mean by poorly executed? Let me explain that.
Well, perhaps you better explain well executed, because there is no such thing as a well executed vegan diet. Does not exist.
There's a wrong way to go vegan or vegetarian.
Yes, don't do it wrong.
A lot of
you know what happens when you do it wrong in the vegans. Woo.
People, and I've seen this, decide that they want to go vegan or vegetarian, and then they just start living off of salads. And that sounds healthy because, yes, plants are excellent for your health, but it's actually...
No, they're not. There's nothing to underpin that claim extant anywhere in the literature.
Not a healthy diet because it's not balanced. If
yes, that's all you need is balance. Yep, balance. No.
All you do is eat salad, you can become dangerously deficient in a lot of things.
There you go. Or therefore, if all you do is eat plants, same deal, isn't it? Yeah.
You can develop a B12 deficiency.
You will develop a B12 deficiency if you don't consume sufficient animal products. And you won't really be able to do much about that with supplementary B12, specifically, or most commonly actually delivered up to people in a form that's probably problematic, it seems.
An iron deficiency. You can develop protein, energy, malnutrition. You can develop essential fatty acid deficiency. However...
You can, and they do, don't they, Brianna? Let's have a look at what happens to people long term that try and eat nothing but plants. Those that aren't juicing, that is, with the steroidal sort of juice.
If you execute a vegan or vegetarian diet correctly and diversify...
There is no way to correctly execute a vegan diet. The same is not true of a vegan. There are correct ways.
The plants you eat, which include plants that have protein, that have fat, and supplement certain things like your B vitamins and iron, then you can be perfectly healthy eating a completely plant-based diet.
No, you can't, it seems.
I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, but that's false, though. It seems to be completely, anecdotally, unsupportable. There are one or two outliers who are able, they claim, to maintain such a lifestyle for a number of years, but no. The anecdotes are quite clear on, actually, the statistics on this are quite clear. They say that 84% of people who ever attempt a vegan diet quit within 5 years, and 90% of those people cite catastrophic health failure as the reason.
Word of the day, you guys, is balance.
No, it isn't. Human nutritional needs have got nothing to do with balance, whatever.
I already kind of gave you guys a sample of like my lunch, what I might eat, but the truth is there really is no best diet. And anyone who...
Yeah, there really is, Brianna, it seems. And it seems quite clear what it is, actually.
Tells you that there is, doesn't know what they're talking about.
All right. Says a student who thinks Lame Norton is credible, who doesn't understand gluconeogenesis, who thinks her opinion makes her correct on some matter of fact in an area that she's completely untrained in whatsoever. Wow. Stunning.
The best diet is a diet that meets all of your energy needs, that meets...
No, it has nothing to do with energy still.
All of your nutrient needs.
Yes, good.
And you enjoy it. And for...
No, it's got nothing to do with enjoyment. The reason that we eat is so that we might live. It is not the other way around. As it turns out, a species-appropriate, species-specific diet is highly enjoyable. It's great.
For most humans, this typically means consuming a diet that's rich in whole grains.
No, that's very, very bad advice indeed. The human digestive system is not geared up to be able to deal with that.
Meats that you enjoy, like maybe chicken or fish, and lots and...
And red meat should be the most of it, actually, not chicken or fish. Chicken or fish is in the 20% maximum department. I mean, 80% beef, 20% everything else is what you should be eating. Just to be as clear as I can on that.
Lots of plants like fruits and vegetables.
No, you don't need plants like fruits or vegetables.
And also a healthy, balanced diet also involves...
No, healthy and balanced is a double banger malapropism there, because again, a species-appropriate diet has nothing whatever to do with balance.
Involves the fun stuff like coffee and tea. FYI, regular coffee and tea intake is associated with a lower risk of cardiovascular disease.
Oh, here we go again. No, there are still no studies that inform on risk.
And all-cause mortality. Maybe a cookie or two every now and then, because why not? They're delicious. Maybe a little...
Because all calories are the same, aren't they? That's the other stunning bit of insight that you've had for us. All calories are the same, you've said. So we just need to stay under our calories that we can't count, either in or out. All right, good.
A little bit of ice cream or a little bit of cake after dinner every now and then, because why not? It's delicious.
Let's justify bad habits by saying it's fine if it fits your macros. Get out of here.
Completely eliminating or at least minimizing your alcohol consumption. Or maybe...
Yes, I agree with that.
Maybe on a Friday night, you're like me, don't really feel like cooking, and maybe you order a pizza. Balance, you guys.
No, bad idea. Very, very bad idea indeed.
Balance.
No, not balance. Nothing to do with balance. Specificity is the word for the day. Specificity, not balance.
I feel that so many people these days do not understand balance. And it's...
Well, including yourself, because you're thinking it's a good thing in nutrition, and it's not. No.
It's just not healthy.
You have no idea about health, Brianna. Remember, you're a student.
Something that I have observed that a lot of influencers love to do. They love to pick one compound or one ingredient from one food, demonize it like hell, even though it's a perfectly safe and perfectly fine food to consume. The reality of this, however, is...
Says whom? On the basis of what?
If you want to be the healthiest human you can possibly be, it's actually better to look at your overall diet quality than it is...
Yeah, but who's to comment on that quality, Brianna, and decide what's good quality and what's not? Because if we believe what you say, we're going to get that completely fucking wrong, aren't we? Yes, because you wouldn't have the first clue about that at all.
Is to scrutinize every single little tiny individual ingredient. If you eat multiple servings of plants every single day, exercise 3 days a week, and eat a variety of other nutritious foods, then eating 1 or 2 Oreos or a piece of cake every now and then is not going to hurt you. Okay?
False. Completely false, upside down girl.
Okay. Do I need to say that louder for the people in the back? It's not.
No. It was wrong and frankly pretty fucking stupid the first time you said it. So it's only going to be even more wrong and even more fucking stupid at a higher volume, isn't it?
Not gonna hurt you, okay? The final message of the day. Eating a plant-rich diet that is high in fiber is
what?
Associated with a lower risk of developing...
No, there are no studies still that can inform on risk. None.
Several types of cancer.
So there are no confounds, covariates, are there not? Yes, there are. Are we done with that now? Yes, we are. Why are you still not done with that, Brianna? Other than it's the only thing you can tap, because there is no fucking science.
Including colorectal cancer, a lower risk of cardiovascular disease.
No.
And a lower risk of...
No. Whatever you're going to say next. No.
All-cause mortality.
No.
If you take one thing away from this video...
Take away this. Students, qualified students, officially sanctioned and certificated individuals who claim to be experts in a field and that kind of stuff, who do not understand science, who cannot statistically analyze a piece of work and go, that stacks up, that doesn't stack up, here are the problems with this paper, like Brianna here, and like lame Norton PhD, and like not really a Dr. Arlo, who could not tell you the first thing about science or statistics. You people should not be commenting on science in videos online. It's irresponsible. You are incompetent. You are out of your lane. It's incredible, isn't it, kids?
Please let it be this. Eat your damn vegetables.
Do no such fucking thing.
Phew! We did it. We did it, Adrian. We finally tackled carnivore.
No, you didn't. You gave us some mindless, vapid, vacuous, excremental opinions. You cited and tapped a couple of bits of pseudoscientific claptrap that only a complete non-scientist could possibly fall into the folly of sucking that lollipop. And you repeatedly said risk, 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 despite the fact that there is nothing in the literature that can inform us on risk. Then you tapped your own authority a couple of times, of which you have none, and that of your training organisation and several others around the place, as if that gave credibility to anything you had to say. It's ludicrous. It's ridiculous, Brianna. I think I'm done. You better sum up quickly.
This was fun. Part of me is looking forward to all of the angry comments from the carnivore diet zealots telling me
yes, we're all zealots.
I'm wrong and telling me...
Well, you are wrong, Brianna. It's got nothing to do with whether we are or are not zealots. You are wrong.
That I'm a shill for Big Pharma, even though I'm currently an unpaid dietetic intern and my job is to help keep people alive and well-nourished.
Well, if your job was to keep people alive and well-nourished, you wouldn't be following the dictates of that organisation, because they have no clue on that at all, still.
While they're in my hospital, fun times. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more related content...
Now, I'd like to see you concentrate on completing your rotation, concentrate on completing your studies, get them out of the way, and then go and practice quietly somewhere. If you must practice the damaging, poisonous ideology of that organisation to which you've become behooven, what we'd like to see you is to shut up permanently in the public video format, because you are absolutely out of your lane and absolutely out of your depth in the field of human nutrition. You have not the first clue of what you are talking about, and it's irresponsible. Knock it on the head.
Hit the subscribe button every now and then.
Right. Okay, so there it is. I've been asked several times to deal with Brianna. There you go, nearly 2 hours of it. I hope that's enough. Join me next time when someone else will be wrong on the interwebs, because it doesn't look like slowing down anytime soon, does it, kids? No. See you then.